Hi, welcome to 5.4, solving quadratics by using the quadratic formula, and you will need a calculator for this one, so if you don't have one, pause the video and go grab it. So we are looking at the quadratic formula, which is right here. So x equals negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac, and then that whole thing over 2a, where if you have a quadratic in standard form, the a is the coefficient of your x squared, the b is the coefficient of your x, and then the c is your constant. And this looks really complicated, but hopefully you'll agree that it's not terribly complicated once you get the hang of it. So we're going to do a couple together, and then I'll have you try some. So this right here, right now we're just going to use what's in front of us to help you, and then in class I'll teach you a little song that will help you remember it. Okay, so all we're going to do is identify our a, b, and our c, and then we're going to stick things into the formula. So here we do not have anything in front of the x squared, so that means that a equals 1, and then b equals, in front of the x we have negative 5. And then our c is our constant, so that is negative 6. And you have to make sure that it's all equal to 0 first. If it's not equal to 0, then you have to adjust some things before you can put it into your formula. Okay, so we're going to say x equals negative b. So if b is negative 5, then negative 5 is positive 5, plus or minus square root b squared, negative 5 squared is 25, minus 4, a is 1, c is negative 6, and then that whole thing over 2 times a is 1. And then we just start to simplify. Or you can just put this whole thing in your calculator if you want, but I think it's a little bit easier to simplify first, so you don't have to put all of that stuff in there and worry about where your parentheses go. All right, so 5 plus or minus, and then 25 minus 4 times 1 times negative 6. So negative 4 times 1 is negative 4. Negative 4 times negative 6 is positive 24. So what we really have here is 25 plus 24, which is 49. And that's over 2 times 1 is 2. Square root of 49 is just 7, so we really have 5 plus or minus 7 over 2. 5 plus 7 is 12, so we have 12 over 2, or 5 minus 7 is negative 2 over positive 2. 12 divided by 2 is 6, negative 2 divided by 2 is negative 1. So those are our two possible answers for that one. So this one didn't necessarily require a calculator, but we could have used it if we wanted to. Okay, let's do this one right here. So let's identify our A, B, and C again. Now once you get pretty good at this, you don't necessarily have to physically write this out first, but right now I'm doing it so that you can see my thinking. All right, so once again, I don't have anything in front of my x squared, so that's a 1. B is negative 9. C is 21. So I'm going to do x equals negative b, negative 9 is positive 9, plus or minus negative 9 squared is 81, minus 4, a is 1, c is 21, over 2 times 1. Okay, so now I've got 9 plus or minus, so I've got 81 minus 4 times 1, so that's negative 4, times 21 is going to be 84. So I have square root of 81 minus 84 over 2 times 1 is 2. 9 plus or minus 81 minus 84 is negative 3 over 2. Okay, now here we have a square root with a negative inside. There's nothing that multiplied by itself will give you a negative number. So this one is a special case where we have no real solutions. And the nice thing about that means we can stop right there. We don't have to go any further on this one. Okay, please try these. This one, the answers are a bit icky, so you will want to use your calculator on this one right here and make sure to set it up so that this side equals 0 before you start. Okay, pause and work those problems. And here are your answers for those two. Okay, let's take a look at something that can be time saving depending on what problems we're looking at here. Okay, so you might remember from the very beginning of this unit when we talked about like what these solutions mean, and it's possible that we have no solution. So the one where we just solved over here, no solution, looks something like this. It does not touch the x-axis at all. If I have something that touches the x-axis once, that has one real solution, and the discriminant is the stuff that's inside the radical, so the b squared minus 4ac. So if the discriminant turns out to be 0, that's when it's just the vertex is going to touch the x-axis and it's only going to have one solution. Any other time, our parabola is going to cross our x-axis twice. It's going to have two real solutions, and that's when we have something inside here that's positive. So we have the plus or minus, whatever that is, when we figure out the square root of it. Okay, so let's see how that can help us. Sometimes we only have to calculate the discriminant. We don't have to calculate the entire quadratic formula. So for instance, in this one, we are looking at our b squared minus 4ac. Our b on this one is -5. Our a is still going to be 1, and our c is going to be -6. So b squared, -5 squared, is going to be 25 minus 4ac. And we already figured out this one before. -4 times 1 is -4 times -6 is positive 24. So that's 49. This is our discriminant, which is positive. So we're looking to see whether it's positive, negative, or 0. Since it's positive, like this, we have two real solutions. Let's take a look at this one right here. So our a is 1, our b is -9, and our c is 21. So b squared is 81 minus 4ac, and that we figured out before was 84, so that's going to be -3. Since our discriminant is negative, then the equation has no real solutions. Okay, you go ahead and try these two right here. And share your answers for those. So they're both positive and both have two real solutions. And then at the bottom, how can we use the discriminant to save time? So the discriminant only saves time if you have a negative discriminant and then you have no real solutions, and then that means that you don't have to calculate the entire quadratic formula. So it can be more time if you find out that it is positive. So basically, if you suspect, and you'll kind of get better at understanding when you might suspect that the discriminant would be negative. So if you suspect the discriminant is negative, then you check. And if it is, then you just write no solution, and then you don't have to solve anything else. And if you find that it's not negative, then you have to go back and calculate. Okay, let's do an application one where we're going to solve using the quadratic formula. So this time we're looking to reach a point 1 meter above the water. So that means that our height right here is going to be 1. So 1 equals negative 4.9t squared plus 3.5t plus 10. We want to make sure that this is 0, so we have to subtract 1 from each side. So 0 equals negative 4.9t squared plus 3.5t plus 9. Then we're just going to put that into the quadratic formula. So on this one, our a is negative 4.9. Our b is 3.5. And our c is 9. And so x equals negative b, so negative 3.5 plus or minus 3.5 squared minus 4ac. And then that whole thing over 2 times negative 4.9. Okay, I went ahead and put that into my calculator just like that. I did the plus, and then I did the minus, and I got x is equivalent to negative 1.04 and 1.76. And go ahead and try that. Don't just write down the answers I have, but put it in your calculator and make sure you can get the same thing. Because it's important to know how to put that in there, use the order of operations, and get what you need to get. And make a little star by it or something if you're having trouble getting your calculator to do that. Okay, how many solutions does it have? It has 2 solutions. Do all of the solutions make sense? Well, we're talking about, I put x, but it's really t, and t stands for time. And since we can't have negative time, we can't have negative seconds. No, they both don't make sense. You can't have negative seconds. Only the 1.76 seconds makes sense. Okay, so please put a mark by anything that you are confused about, and we can go over it tomorrow in class.